Hi, welcome to the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. I'm Scoot. And this is an opportunity for us to get together and talk about the issues, talk about politics, talk about pop culture. All of this comes from um, a registered independent radical moderate who will not be beholden to either political tribe. I vote for the best candidate. Republican, Democrat, Independent, and really there are a lot of people like me in America. There are a lot of independently minded Republicans and Democrats, and this makes up the biggest part of the voting bloc. So even though the far right and the far left get a lot of attention because they make a lot of noise, we are the ones that determine the outcome of elections. So don't you love the graphics here? I mean, it's really cool, right? Nice graphics. Anyway, so also what I'm going to do is one night a week here on the YouTube channel, I will share with you a personal story about my career. Now, for those of you who don't know me, this year, okay, I started young, but this year I have been in the business 50 years. And I got to tell you, I'm still having fun. I mean, look, right now it's tough with politics, with hate being the way it is. It's not easy doing a talk show, but I love what I do. And even to this day, I just wake up every morning excited about what I do. I'm a radio talk show host. I'm on WWL radio in New Orleans, and that's 870 AM in New Orleans in the Gulf South, 105.3 FM. But if you're outside of the New Orleans area, and really even if you're in the New Orleans area, the best way to get the show is download the app radio.com. Download radio.com, type in WWL, and you've got the station wherever you are. And I'm on the air from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. This is for those of you not familiar with me. 1 to 4 in the afternoon, Central Daylight Time, New Orleans time. New Orleans has been a hot spot for the coronavirus, but things are getting better. And starting Friday, some things around the state are going to open up. And starting Saturday, some things around the city are going to start opening up. But a lot of it is based on the idea of social distancing and wearing a mask. I've noticed this the last week or so on my radio talk show. The debate over whether to wear a mask or not to wear a mask has become so politically charged, not for everybody. And I know there are excuses why some people can't wear masks. But it is absurd to me how political this has become. And generalizing here, and I know there are exceptions, but because President Trump doesn't wear a mask, not wearing a mask is a badge of honor for the right. Wearing a mask is more of a badge of honor for the left. Opening up quickly is more supported by the right. Being very cautious about opening up or not opening up now at all is more supported by the left. Again, generalizations. But you understand, and I don't know how you feel, but you fit into one of these categories, right, left, or you're one of the ones that uses common sense. Look, let's be honest. There are a lot of COVIDiots out there. And they have somehow determined that not wearing a mask is supporting the president, which is ridiculous. It shouldn't be about politics. And there are some people who can't wear a mask for medical reasons. Those are the exceptions. I personally have received enough information from what I consider to be credible experts to wear a mask. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't want to wear a mask. I had a guy call my show today, and he was so insistent upon not wearing a mask based on what he read. Well, guess what? I've read stuff that supports wearing a mask. So, once again, we can really find information that supports what we believe. Most people are not interested in the truth. They're interested in confirming what they already believe. Kim says, hello, Scoot. I know Kim is in Dallas. Kim, how are you? Glad you're with me on Scoot on the YouTube. And let's see. Nora says, hi, Scoot. I wear a mask whenever I go in public. And Blonde Cajun 504 says, from one germaphobe to another, I wear one. Yeah, I wear a mask too. And I know it's medically irrational, but to be honest with you, I wear a mask because I know it prevents me from spreading it. I mean, I feel great, but you could be asymptomatic. You could spread the virus and not even know you have it. And that's one of the really scary things about those two people in the White House, the West Wing of the White House, one close to President Trump, one close to Vice President Mike Pence, who tested positive for COVID-19. And they were like in direct contact with the president and the vice president. Theoretically, according to the own rules of the White House and the CDC, the president and the vice president should quarantine for 14 days. But as you know, they're not going to do that. And I don't know, I kind of think that sets a bad example. But interestingly, the White House has changed the policy. Every visitor, every staff member at the White House, West Wing, must wear a mask unless they're sitting behind their desk. So I thought about this today. I take an afternoon exercise walk. And during my walk, I thought about why so many people are just so animate about not wearing a mask, but also telling you you shouldn't be wearing a mask. And I had a caller on my show today saying, this guy was just staring at me because I was wearing a mask. And she said my hair was pretty bad because I haven't gotten a haircut. I'm kind of like this mess. And hair salons are opening up this Saturday in New Orleans. So I'm going to get something done about this as soon as I can. Anyway, this caller said this guy was staring her down, and she felt like it was because she was wearing a mask. And I thought the people who have decided not to wear masks don't want you to wear a mask because many of them don't want you to be right. By wearing a mask, you implant in their mind the slight possibility that you're right and they should be wearing a mask, but they're not going to wear a mask. I'm just amazed over the last week or so how volatile this debate has become. And, I get it. Look, this whole thing is frustrating. It's May the 12th. We've been doing this for about 2 months now. I'm doing my radio show from my apartment here. I do social media from my apartment. I go to the store once a week. Sometimes I've got to make a side trip to the store, but I only go when I have to. And I occasionally will take a ride in my car. I will not go meet a group of people or anything. I'll just take a ride in my car, and just to get out. And then I take many afternoon walks. So it's great. But other than that, I'm in my apartment. I tend to be a loner and reclusive, so it's generally okay with me. But I miss things like going to concerts. I miss the anticipation of the concert. I miss getting ready. You think about going to the concert, like the concert's tonight. All day you're mentally thinking about going to that concert because you're going to see somebody you love, somebody you really like. You like their music. And then you get ready, and that's part of the anticipation of going. And then you go to the concert. You have a blast, and you share it with so many people around you. And then you leave, and you have this like memory of this great experience at the concert. I miss that. I'm ready to get that back as soon as possible. Here is a comment from Nora that says, I don't understand why people risk their health by not wearing a mask. Eh, Nora, I can't explain it, but I do it out of courtesy. And I admit that it is, according to the experts, it is medically irrational. But I feel more protected from getting the virus by wearing the mask. But I know in reality, I'm preventing others from getting it. Wearing a mask also, I think, shows that you care about other people. And not wearing a mask has just, again, become this badge of honor for some people, not everybody. I know there are exceptions. So let me share with you this text that I received today. This is one of the dumbest texts I have ever received on the air. I'm reading this verbatim. This was the text that came into my radio show today on WWL. What gives Taylor Swift the right to make a political statement? So dumb is that question, I refuse to even answer it on the air. I simply said, I assume that everybody listening to the show right now knows the answer to the question. And I also find this interesting. Fox News is one of the websites that I check when I prepare for the show, when I do research, when I'm looking for topics and things that support things that I'm going to talk about. Fox News, CNN, Huffington Post, which is a real strong left-leaning website. So I try to check out different websites. It's interesting to me that so many conservatives are so critical of what liberals in Hollywood have to say about politics. But Fox News consistently runs stories about some little comment, either a big comment or even a little comment that some liberal in Hollywood made. I mean, if you really don't care, why are you paying attention to what they say? It's because that's red meat to the audience. Because again, this is the nature of news. This is the nature of entertainment. It gives people someone to hate. It gives people someone to criticize. Peter says he totally agrees. Well, thanks, Peter. I mean, and look, not everybody agrees with me, and that's okay. To be honest with you, it's not my job to change your mind. It's my job to just do an entertaining radio show, to be entertaining on social media, here on YouTube or wherever, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. It's my job to just be entertaining. And I'm honest with my opinions. That's my responsibility to you. I'm honest with my opinions. So why the mask thing is such a big freaking deal, I don't get it. And so since we live in America, let's just make this agreement. You don't want to wear a mask? Don't wear a mask. The government is not forcing you to wear a mask. It is a recommendation. But people act like they're being forced to wear a mask and they're somehow defying government intervention in their lives by not wearing a mask. The government's not forcing you to wear a mask. Now, a business can force you to wear a mask. In the same way that a business can say, no shoes, no shirt, no service. A business can say, no shoes, no shirt, no mask, no service. The problem is that in Stillwater, Oklahoma, the mayor made a demand, a requirement that everybody going into a retail store wear a mask. There were so many threats of violence against employees of those stores and so much verbal abuse of the employees of those stores that within 24 hours, the mayor dropped the order. He dropped it not because it was a bad order. He dropped it because of the threat of violence. And what kind of precedent does that set? So, hey, you don't like an ordinance, you just threaten violence on employees and maybe it'll drop. Again, I think it's a dangerous precedent. But I choose to wear a mask. So if you don't wear a mask, that's fine. But if you respect the Constitution, and if you respect the spirit of America, then don't infringe on my right to wear a mask and don't get in my space. Social distance. I don't want you to come too close to me in case I give it to you. I mean, I don't have any symptoms. I feel great. I hope that remains the case. Um, but I'm doing it for you. When people wear a mask, they're doing it for other people. Anyway, that debate is going to continue. Trust me. By the way, tomorrow night I will post on YouTube a commencement address. I'm presenting a commencement address to the seniors of the class of 2020 who are going through a tough time because there's no real graduation. There's no, big graduation, no proms. And since no school will invite me to give a commencement address, I'm going to do it on my Facebook page, live at 7 o'clock, Wednesday night, May 13th. That's tomorrow night, live at 7 o'clock on the Scoot on the Air Facebook page. And I want to share it here on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to say what I think needs to be said. And I may not be politically correct. Okay? This was a suggestion from a listener and somebody who follows me on Facebook. I said, what can I do for the senior class of 2020? And there were some suggestions, and one suggestion was, why don't you deliver a commencement address? I'm doing that tomorrow night. Let's talk briefly about some of the latest information that's come in about this horrific murder, the shooting death of Ahmaud Arbery, 25 years old, in Brunswick, Georgia. I don't like to bring up race on my radio show. I like to focus on behavior, not race. But sometimes race defines a situation. And it appears as if this was a racially motivated hate crime. Two white guys in a pickup truck and a black jogger. Tonight on CNN, Chris Cuomo interviewed the owner of the house that Ahmaud Arbery went into, a house under construction. Yes, there's surveillance video of him in the house, walking around and looking around. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid and we saw a house under construction, we went in it. We were just curious. I mean, I guess you're just kind of curious as to the stages of building a house. Now, this guy who went into the house, Ahmaud Arbery, he didn't take anything. And there's some crazy story about fishing equipment was stolen. The owner of the house said he didn't file a police report because the fishing equipment was stolen out of his truck. And he wasn't exactly sure where it was when it was stolen. So again, you've got people grabbing things that try to put this story together to support these two white guys, a father and a son, who killed this guy. And the crazy thing is that prosecutors didn't file charges against the men. It wasn't until a video surfaced and went viral on social media that the prosecutor's office in, I think it's Glenn County, Georgia, was forced to file charges, which they should have done in the very beginning. Greg McMichael, 64 years old, and Travis McMichael, 34 years old, father and son. You know, fathers and sons do a lot of things together. Here was a father and son that went out and they shot a black guy. This is a mentality that still lives with us. And while it's not fair to judge everybody that looks like these two white guys, it's sad to say they fit the stereotype of what you would expect. Again, if you know people that look like these guys, if you look like these guys, I'm not judging you. There are still stereotypes out there, even though it's not fair to judge. Last night on a cable news channel, William Bryan, known as Roddy, the guy who recorded the video, was on CNN. And there are questions about whether or not he should be charged because he didn't call 911. He was recording it with his phone on video. Now, it would have been the right thing to do to call 911. And I don't know why he didn't. And I mean, I guess we have to ask ourselves the question, how would we act in that situation? If you were capturing something on video on your phone and it was really compelling, would you have the presence of mind to call 911 if it was a violent situation? Or would you keep taking the video? I don't know the answer to that because I'm not the guy. But I don't know that the guy should be anything other than a witness. I don't see the evidence that he should be more than a witness. But it seems like the prosecutor's office in Brunswick, Georgia, had some connection with these McMichael people, the father and the son. And so they didn't file charges. They had this video of him being shot. They had the video from the guy. But it wasn't until it went public that the public pressure mounted. And it was we, the people, who put pressure on them to do the right thing, which is file charges. And no expert can figure out why charges were not filed right away. So I guess the only thing left to assume is that these two guys are racist. Now, you see, I say that, and you know what a lot of people will say? Yeah, well, they're blacks who are racist too. Yeah, I know that. But we're not talking about that right now. And the default position that so many people have is, oh yeah, well, somebody else does that too. You see, when you can't defend somebody, when you can't defend behavior, you try to distract from it. And you ultimately get mad at the messenger or the message. And by the way, a classic example of this, and I talked about this on my show today, classic example of this is President Trump abruptly ended a press conference yesterday in the Rose Garden because he couldn't handle a question. He didn't like a question that was being asked. And the conservative media has told everybody it was an unfair question. And so that got regurgitated on my show today. It wasn't a fair question. It was a fair question. President Trump has gone out of his way to talk about how great we're doing compared to other countries when it comes to testing and fighting COVID-19. I'm glad we're doing so well. We could be doing better. But some countries are kicking our ass. South Korea is doing a better job with testing and controlling it than we are. They allowed nightclubs to open up. The numbers spiked. They shut it down. So instead of bragging about how good we are compared to other countries, I would like our leader to focus on what we can do and what he can tell us to do to better protect us. And so this Asian American reporter from CBS asked the question, Mr. President, why are you making this a global competition? And the president said, well, why don't you ask China? Ask China. I mean, that's the way he says it. And the thing now is that one of the re-election strategies for the president is to focus the blame on China. All right, it came from China. Let's just focus on what we need to do. Really, on my radio show, I tried to keep politics out of this. But it's absolutely impossible to do that now. So, was that a fair question? Yes, it was a fair question. And then the president acknowledged another reporter who wanted to allow that reporter to follow up on the question, because then she asked the president, why are you saying that to me? Why are you telling me to ask China? And almost instantly, the president said, goodbye. He ended the press conference. I had a text on my show today. The president gets so much BS from people, so many hateful questions. That wasn't a hateful question. That he has a right to end his press conference abruptly. Look, if you're president of the United States, you're going to get tough questions. If you don't want to deal with tough questions, then don't run for the presidency. I'd like to think that my president has enough cool to deal with whatever question he's asked. And I don't think that was an unfair question. All right. Thanks for joining me here. Scoot on the Air, YouTube. I'll be posting something every day here. Most of it will be late afternoon or at night. And you can join me on WWL, AM, FM, and radio.com from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. That is New Orleans time, Central Daylight Time. Join me on Facebook tomorrow, live at 9 o'clock. That is also, well, everything is Scoot on the Air. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And I post a lot of stuff during the day on Facebook and on Instagram as well. So I hope you will join me. I enjoyed spending this time with you, and thanks for joining me. And I hope you subscribed. And if you didn't subscribe, do it now. I'd love to get to the point where I can charge for this one day, but it's free right now. And that way you get an alert every time we do something. And this is just the beginning. So thanks for being part of this. I'm Scoot. Have a good evening.